Hey guys, so today I'm doing a video I've prepared for a while and I hope that you all enjoy it. It is what I believe is the most useful video guide. Okay, so I'm not going to show much gameplay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to a PowerPoint. Okay, so what am I going to cover today? I'm going to cover my version of what others would call a tier list. Now the problem is I don't really like tier list. I think that the word tier list indicates that the SSS units are the best and then the units at the bottom are not worth investing in. But that's not really how it works, especially in a team game. So right now I'm going to just flash through what I've prepared for you guys so that you can see how I decided to structure how you should be reading through all of this information, how you should make decisions in the gameplay. So pretty much everything in the game that you can think of, I'm going to run through. How do you prioritize allocating resources? I'm going to run through slowly and hopefully you guys will find it useful. Okay, so first, the way I like to talk about these is that I want to split them into categories because each of them uses different resources. A duelist uses duelist badges, Esper uses Esper badges, duelist has certain medals that they use more, same for Esper. So we need to split it down to two types of categories. One is the hero inside of the hero section or the monster section. Now we do this because, for example, for activities like dailies, you're going to find that the dailies are split into heroes, monsters, or monsters, outlaw, martial arts, whatever. Okay? So if you split it into these two categories, it'll give you an idea what content will be gatekeeping or blocking your progress. So for hero duelists, we only really have two to consider, very straightforward. Both are worth investing in. So the thing is that I would dump all of my resources into hero duelists, and later you'll see that I don't really recommend putting resources into monster duelists whatsoever. Okay, so let's talk about hero duelists first. So firstly, Atomic Samurai. Okay, some people don't have him. He's part of what I call the Trinity draw you have between Atomic, Chao Emperor, and Tatsumaki for early draws that are strong. Okay, for me, I think Atomic Samurai is a bit more useful than Tatsumaki, but if you get regardless whether you get him, he's strong. Okay, the benefit to him is that he has usage in single target as well as AoE gameplay. Now, in terms of debuffs, he has Shatter, but he falls off in terms of late game damage. What I mean by late game is anything 7 months from now, 6 to 7 months from now. So content wise, he can clear Institute. He's very strong for Institute. Before you get your Amai and Beast King level, he is the one of the better early game options. After you reach the late game where there's only 3 DPS slots in Geryuganshoop Club Boss, then you don't really use him anymore. Okay, he's very strong in arena and tournament. He is used in a lot of dailies as well as your HXM as a major damage dealer. Now the only hero that actually contends with him for resources is Golden Ball. I know a lot of people will say, oh, Golden Ball and Atomic are the same type of hero. Okay, but Golden Ball is actually stronger than Atomic in area damage. It's just that Golden Ball doesn't have single target, which makes him less useful as an overall comparison. But if you were to compare the amount of damage output that Golden Ball can deal against Atomic, actually Golden Ball does a lot more. And Golden Ball also has the benefit of being easier to level. So in the early game when you have like a 3-star Atomic versus like a 4-5-star Golden Ball actually does more damage. Now, personally, I think that leveling Atomic gives you more flexibility, but if you have no Atomic, then it's very clear cut. Just invest everything into Golden Ball. He is the duelist you'll be spending all your resources on. You can get him to your second or third highest BP is fine. And pretty much he's not a late game unit so to speak, but he will be relevant for the next 6 months. Okay, So what are some of the considerations other than that? So first of all, how do you make the most of your atomic? Of course, the best unit to run him with is easily Golden Ball. Golden Ball will shatter targets, especially backline attack units, and Atomic will follow up on them, sometimes even one-shotting them. Okay, so early game, these two are to be used together. You can also use some units in certain activities to get Atomic someone to follow up. Let's say Sub King, Sonic, Aeron, or any other duelist like that. Usually Sonic. I would say that most of the time you're going to run Atomic in the early game for single target damage. Late game, he becomes mainly used in activities like the Dojo Daily. That one you use him a lot in addition to Amai. You also use him a lot in HXM, single target damage. Okay, moving on to Hero Espers. Hero Espers, there are only 3, very straightforward. Most of you will be stuck with Fubuki. If you don't have Tatsumaki, Terrible Tornado. Okay, and recently King came out. So now we have three choices. It's very clear that King is superior to the rest, but of course, if you've already leveled a Tatsu, it doesn't mean that you need to revert her and level your King. It just means that between the two, which one you want to focus your resources on, I'll say King. So what does King have in as a benefit? So he's basically a damage dealer with very randomized damage. Randomized as in you need to save up energy for him to deal a lot of damage. And if you don't save energy in certain situations like PvP, you need to pump a lot of resources into him to make it worth it. Okay, King's damage is unique because he cannot be blocked. His damage output is extra damage. It pierces shields, then it pierces tenacity, and is boosted by things like Sky King damage. Okay. Second of all, he has utility because his normal attack shatters. So he's a good option. It's like a version of Sonic but for the hero side. Okay, third, he's one of the few units that heal. In fact, he's the only unit with a major heal other than Smile Man on the hero side. Now that gives him a lot of utility even though he's a DPS unit. Okay. Right now, I'm finding that he's useful in Institute. Club Boss, he's not as strong as Sonic. You would use King only if you're running a Boros. And he is the most powerful unit for a long time to come in Arena, Tournament, and Genus Daily. Okay? For HXM, you will find that he is neither here nor there. He doesn't really do that much other than the free shatter. Okay? You have a lot of energy in HXM. You have CE, Amai, you only have a few turns to kill the target. So you're not being gated by lack of energy. So King is not, say, the best for some of these activities, but he's used in a lot. Now, I would say that he's not a critical draw even with all this in his favor, but if you've drawn him, good for you. Comparing him to Tatsu, Tatsu is okay. Tatsu is basically the best Esper before King came along. You would have invested a lot of resources into her as she hits very hard. Now, she's used in Institute, Arena, Tournament, and Dailies to a limited extent. Okay, HXM as well if you want to put it that way, but HXM I rather run an Eiron to boost Atomic's damage, for example. Okay, she can combo with Beast King. So her strongest skill is that she can injure backline. And if she injures the backline, Beast King will follow up. Now, what about Fubuki? Okay, Fubuki is a placeholder unit. She's not strong. If you keepsake her, she gets some damage output and she can support her team by reducing defense. But overall, she's mainly just a placeholder Esper because if you don't have Tatsu, you don't have King, you have no choice. You have to run Fubuki to get the final Esper slot filled up. Now, that's only for hero activities. If you have a monster team, there are a lot of Espers you can run. I'll run through them later. But she's bad at single target. She's bad at AoE. Ignore this actually. And she has barely any late game or debuffs. Okay? Now, she can tank. That's her one good part about her is that if you use her properly, you berserk her, she can tank because she heals when she uses her ult. And that places her as a good tank if you follow my recommendation to not level a hero tank in early game and as an F2P. So, of course, with that being said, she is one of the units you will get to 5-star first because she is easy to get shards for. Take it for what it is. She is just there to fill out your hero slots. If you have Tatsu or King, forget about your Fubuki. You can just all in everything into these two. Okay? There's not much to speak about hero high tech. Genos is just here for comparison, but Child Emperor is one of the most used cores. In fact, he's the core that makes the game feel fun because he's the only core that allows you to keep casting your ultimates. He has a kit with Berserk, he has a kit with Stun, he has a kit with Shatter. He's basically a do-it-all in one unit. And he can be used in a lot of different types of content. There's not much to say. He's definitely everything you should invest into. Genos, if you don't have Child Emperor, is your only option for a hero side core. Now, he's very poor. That's all I have to say. He's just shit. So the only use case for Genos is that first of all you need to get him to 5 stars so that you can unlock group 9, 10 and 11. And the other use case for him is that if for some reason and somehow you manage to get him to level 10 in your laboratory, you unlock plus 100% DOT damage, which has its roles. It can be used to make a very overpowered Corrode team, but from what I'm seeing in Taiwan servers, you will never get to level 10 core soon enough. You just get stuck for a very long time. So moving on to a certain hero coming out. So there's not a lot of options to compare for high tech, so I've decided to talk about Metal Knight briefly. He is one of the next few heroes coming out. A lot of people are saying, okay, Metal Knight, do I draw him or not? He actually has more or less the same stats as every other unit that's released so far, meaning to say his normal attack deals 100%, 120%, and his ultimate deals 100% AoE to 6 targets. It's basically Tatsu with extra steps. So he has identical kit to Tatsu, but maybe a bit lousier because it's not lousier so to speak. He's just identical to Tatsu. He's the same role as Tatsu except he's not an Esper. Now he has a burn, but his burn is honestly not even worth thinking about. It's just 50%. So I won't talk too much about him. I just thought that I'll drop it as a conversation topic. So for some of you who are watching this video, maybe it will be like, okay, so should I draw Metal Knight or not? And now you know. I don't think that he's worth your investment. Later on you'll see why, especially if you're an F2P, what should you save up for? Okay, moving on, we have my hero Grapplers. So Grapplers are always the bane of our existence. There's not enough Grappler badges, there's not enough Grappler resources. So you have to pick 3 or 4 Grapplers to level max. And for me, in terms of the resource priority, it's very clear. Invest as much as you can into Amai. And then between Tank Top and Blackluster, you can choose one. But my problem is that if I had a choice to restart as an F2P, I would not level either one, honestly speaking. If I had Carnage or Deep Sea King, I'll level those two and I'll forget that a hero tank even exists. But that sounds a bit extreme, right? But the real problem is that there's so much content in the game that is gated by Amai, while there's not enough content that's being gated by these two. What I mean by gating is that you cannot progress forward. Your HXM gets stuck if you don't level Amai. Your club boss damage is low if you don't level Amai. And then these two, if you could run the monster equivalent instead of these two in your arena, you'll do much better. So why would you level them? Only possible consideration is maybe for some hero activities, hero only activities, right? But if you look at it carefully, what are the hero activities in the game? You have Dr. Genius Daily. That one is pure DPS. There's no tanking you need to do. And Silver Fang. Silver Fang doesn't need any tanking either. Silver Fang you can probably survive just by putting suit set on your main target that's taking damage from Bang and Silver Fang. So what's there to use for these two heroes? I don't know. HXM, there are some areas that you need to tank the boss at, but usually they deal so much damage that if you just run a naked Moment or a naked Black Alloy, it will be the same effect. So overall, what do you want to do? It's up to you. If you feel like you want a hero tank, go ahead, grab these two guys. I don't disagree. But then we have the question, between these two, what will you choose? Like, which one of them are stronger? Is it this guy or this guy? They are equal, but for different reasons. So I won't run into the details. It's very clear cut what they do as a hero. But let's go into why and which one is better. Now, Tank Top, is easier to get his shards. Much easier. You can buy his shards from arena rewards. You pick him up every other day, more or less. I don't know why. But Black Alloy doesn't really have a lot of activities that give free shards. So this means that if you were to compare the two at a equal level, meaning you have the same star level, the same investment, I would take Black Alloy, Black Luster. But if you were talking about in reality what can you possibly level, Tank Top is easy to get to 5 stars, much easier. I won't say that I won't say it's totally relevant because most of you will be stuck at 4 stars. But if you were to say which one you're more likely to level up, you end up getting Tank Top to a certain degree of strength. But for me, this guy just does so much more. If you were to put them on an equal pedestal, this guy is much better. He has injury in his kit. He can reduce damage of your allies in your row without having to cast it out. He has unyielding. Unyielding is very important for a lot of activities in the game. So, and on top of that, there are people in CN Taiwan who are still using him in PvP, and they don't even put him in the front row, they put him in the back row because he reduces damage dealt by some of the backline hitters in PvP. So all in all, if you want to compare the two, my personal preference is for him, Black Luster, but go ahead and level Tank Top if you feel like you are F2P, you won't have so much resources to get his shards. And again, between the two, I wouldn't even level either if I restarted and if I was F2P. So, okay, let's go on. We are at Monster Duelists. Okay, there are only 2 of any relevance: Sonic, Sub King. Sonic, if you are in one of the servers that already went by the Sonic event, you know that you get him for free. He doesn't need a lot of investment. He's just there for shatter. So don't put too much resource into him. Dump all of your resources into Golden Ball or Atomic. Sub King, there are people who are leveling him. He's a SSR that deals damage, but he has absolutely no relevance in mid to late game. His burn is shit. His kit is okay at best. He only follows up maybe once or twice. You could run him in your PvP, but you'll find that as units release, you're trying to find more reasons to keep him in your team. And that reaches a point where you realize you are just leveling him for the sake of it rather than because he has any long-term value. So you could still level him, just don't put him in extreme training or something that would, give yourself more reason to stick to him. Instead, just focus on running him temporarily for things like tournament at best, and after a while, you'll find yourself dropping him. So, even Sonic is a higher priority in that sense. Okay? So, moving on, we have... Alright, so what I said just now, just to flash it on the screen for those who are not listening to my voice. Okay, now is the hardest section. Monster Espers. There's so many of them right now. There's Kombu, Groribas, Vaccine Man, Melzergard, Mosquito Girl, Sky King, Boros. There's so many. Okay? Now, the thing is that you can only pick at most a few. You cannot pick all of them. For me, I'm really struggling because I have Boros, Vaccine Man, Groribas. And right now, I'm actually leveling my King. And I'm struggling. 4 Espers is too much. 4 Grapplers was too much. Now I have 4 Espers. So I can tell you that if you are following my advice, if you have no Boros, you probably want a Corrode team. Okay? Because Corrode is very, very strong for mid-game PvP. It lasts for about 4 to 5 months. And it's very, very strong for Institute. Now, there are some units like Mosquito Girl and Sky King. Now, the problem with Mosquito Girl is that I haven't found a reason to continue using Mosquito Girl after you reach Geryuganshoop Club Boss. Because Geryuganshoop one-shots everything. Now, Mosquito Girl had some purpose when you were fighting Groribas Club Boss, but then you needed her maxed out at that point. And if you invested everything in the Mosquito Girl, then you'll find that, okay, I now have a tank Esper for PvP that doesn't actually do much damage, but heals my team. Now, if that is your kind of thing, if you want to keep damage reflecting and your Mosquito Girl heals your team up non-stop, great, just go ahead and level her if you want. But between running something like Kombu and Vaccine Man that advances your Institute content, versus running Mosquito Girl, I'll say just do Corrode, it'll be better. Sky King is here because even without much resources, he actually does a lot of work. It's hard to explain, but his passive basically gives bonus damage to a lot of random things in the game. He boosts extra damage by 20%, and it's 30% when it's 5-star. So even if he's dead, that buff still applies. That's why he's used in things like Geryuganshoop Club Boss, and why in PvP you see him randomly show up as a level 1 character, and then suddenly you lose to a level 1 character. I'll talk about Melza briefly later, and of course Boros. So this is not in order of the value, this is just what I think you should think about when talking about each unit. So of course the question is, how do I even get Groribas? You can buy him from the mystery shop if you're a whale, or if you were an F2P and you saved up enough of his shards early on. I personally use Groribas, but actually if you were to talk about it from a resource perspective, just use combo. It's cheaper, it's the same purpose. Him and combo alone can push you to the top of monster tournament every week easily. Okay, now I still level Groribas because there's some individual aspects of him I like for example, he boosts your attack when he corrodes, and he can corrode with his normal attack, combo cannot. So that means that he has some single target damage. Okay, in the late game he probably scales better as well because he's an SSR. That being said, yes, he's not really that necessary. I'll say he's fun with Vaccine Man. If you have a very leveled Vaccine Man, these two probably give you a ton of fun. I have a lot of fun with them, but combo is fine. So what's the difference between the two? Groribas can corrode 3 whenever he crits with his ult. He can only hit 3 with his ult. Combo crits the main target. Combo gets corrode on the main target 100% of the time, and you need her 3-star keepsake in order to get her to corrode up to 3 more. Basically the ones that are sitting next to your main target have a 50% chance. So in Institute you can just keep priming until you get 3 or 4 corrodes, and Groribas almost always corrodes in Institute, so pick what you want. Now Vaccine Man, a lot of people are confused, keep telling me, oh, you can run Vaccine Man as a tank. No, he's not a tank. What's wrong with all of you? He's not a tank. I can't emphasize it enough, but the number of people who say that Vaccine Man is a tank is ridiculous. He does not tank. He has no tank skills whatsoever. Which part of his kit tells you that if he takes damage, it's reduced? None. Yes, he deals bonus damage with his auto attack that's based on his max health, but if you go and use it in practice, that additional percentage is nothing, because he has no skills, nothing that increases his health. And pretty much if you were to go full attack, he deals way more with his burn than the 7% max HP. Okay, now with that being said, in order for Vaccine Man to be effective in tournament and arena, you need to give him some health, either by running battle gear set or giving him like partial health pieces, whatever it is. You would want him to have some health pieces, because if he is dead, the corrosion that's done by combo and Groribas will not spread. Okay, his passive works this way: every target that is corroded, 50% of the damage is spread to 6 of the opponents, or as many opponents as there are on the map. So if you have 3 corrode, let's say the corrode for combo and Groribas is 15% of their attack, that means that 22.5% additional damage is dealt to all targets every single time a unit takes an action. If that's not OP, I don't know what is. Now, I've talked enough about Corrode. I'm a Corrode fanboy. Here are some tips. When you are running combo and Groribas, they must be the first to start the round. Okay, there's no question. If they are not starting first, there are less actions left in the round to deal the corrode damage. So if they are, you don't need sets for them, you just need pure speed. Now for Groribas, you need 3 speed and 1 crit, because his corrode comes from crit. But combo, you don't even need to care, you just go full speed, 4-piece speed gear. Okay, now a lot of people think DPS low HP put in the back line, but actually no. If they go first, you don't need to care anymore, you can just put them in the front line. Because if they attack and they corrode already, Vaccine Man is the only one that has to stay alive. So Vaccine Man is in the back line, and combo and Groribas can actually be in the front. Doesn't matter if they die afterwards, right? Another thing is that Vaccine Man, yeah, I've already talked about this, so let's move on. Espers, Remainder, Boros, Mosquito Girl, Sky King. In terms of investment, Boros is a great unit for single target, but he fulfills a similar role to Beast King. There is Institute content that you cannot push without Boros. I'm probably the highest Institute clear in the entire game right now. Maybe, I don't know if anyone else has hit 801, but I'm at floor 801. And I can tell you that there's some content that you absolutely cannot do without Boros there. So investing in him is a great idea, but then if you have to invest in these guys as well, then you basically are fucked, right? You have so many Espers to train. So if you don't have Boros, then it's very clear. You can invest more into some other units. You can have fun with Mosquito Girl, you can have fun with Sky King. So one thing about Boros is that people are running him in Arena now. Actually, Boros is very weak in Arena now. He only has single target damage, but the units that are in the game right now, they die from your normal AoE damage. So running Boros right now means that yes, if you have enough speed on him, he might be able to one-shot someone, he might be able to kill Carnage before he reflects the damage back to you, but that's all very if. Where he's strong at in PvP is in 6 months, because there's a unit called Gyro that comes out, there are healer units that come out, there are revive units that come out, and Boros one-shots everything in PvP. So when you gear Boros later, he becomes important. But right now he's more or less kind of he's in a question mark spot. He's useful in Institute, Club Boss. He's a guaranteed win for Unnatural together with Carnage, but otherwise you don't really need to level him, so to speak. You can always wait for later. Mosquito Girl and Sky King. I've already mentioned Mosquito Girl is in a weird spot right now. You can't find the correct role for her, but she has the strongest heal in the game. Now, Sky King is interesting. He is important and he's strong, but you don't have to level him. You can leave him at level 1, level 5, level 20, it's fine. You have to invest too much into him. If you want to make him your main team, I would question as to whether that's a good idea. But if you have no Boros and you're not playing Corrode team, you went full damage reflect team, which I'll talk about later, then Sky King might be worth an investment. He's also useful for stunning in Institute, 50% chance to stun on his out. In the final club boss, he's used as a sacrificial lamb to deal more damage. And like I said, damage reflect build for arena and tournament. Okay, so what are some of the combos? Boros, a lot of people don't know that his passive or his out actually increases his damage for every Esper, but he himself counts as an Esper, so you only need 2 other Espers for maximum damage. You want to shatter and injure your target to deal maximum amount of damage, same as all other single target type heroes. And he's an alternative for Amai or Beast King. Mosquito Girl is comboed with Dr. Genus, straightforward. If you heal, you get more damage. And lastly, Sky King, you combo him with Corrode lineups because Vaccine Man's passive counts as extra damage. You can combo him with Boros. Actually, I forgot why I put this here. Okay, and you can combo him with Damage Reflect. So, oh yeah, you can combo him with Boros because he's an Esper, right? So, last, Melza. Okay, Melza's kit looks amazing. You get damage reduction on your whole team. You get AoE heal. And he deals an okay amount of damage, I guess. But the problem is that he is so rare that you're never going to be able to get him past 2 stars or 3 stars. You have to spend monster Omni Shards to star him up. And that's a problem because Omni Shards are not free. Now, if you only can get him upgraded through extreme training and Omni Shards, you have to look at how long it takes to get him to a point where he still stays competitive. And there are 5 base stars in the game. There's star 6, star 7. If you were to put him in extreme training for half a year, he would barely have just reached 4 stars to 4.5 stars or something. And you would need to fill in the rest of the way to get him to 5 stars. Now, if you are into torturing yourself or you somehow got lucky and got 3 dupes of him, that's great. Good for you and your crazy ass karma. But for majority of people, even the whales, it's basically impossible to level Melzagat. He will always remain 3 star, 4 star. And that really caps out his potential, because by the time that you get him to like 5 stars, other better units that can heal and reduce damage are already out. Like for example, Gyro's core causes your team to not take any damage for 2 turns. So why would you want him? I don't know. He is good if you get him and you want to show off early game. He is good if you get him because you can upgrade your perks. You can finish some of the impossible groups like the Boros groups, the Groribas groups. If I got him right now, my entire lineup would spike in BP. But otherwise, hard to say. Draw chance for every person, maybe 30% in 550 epic vouchers. And we suspect that the rate is tampered with, meaning that he's rarer than it seems to get. Okay? So, and he never gets a rate up, even in China. So he has never got a banner with a rate up before. He only shows up in epic vouchers. So it's pure luck as to whether you get him or not. Now, we move on to monster grapplers. So where are we at? Monster grapplers are hard to choose. Okay, I don't have enough resources because I leveled an alloy, a carnage, a beast king, and I have to choose between Deep Sea King Amai for my next grappler. I've only leveled 3 so far, and I'm supposed to be a whale. Therein lies the problem. All grapplers are useful. Pretty much all of them have a purpose, but you have so many resources, you have to choose. So in terms of resources, which one is the most important? Hands down, Carnage is the best unit you can invest in after Amai. Carnage, as a PvP unit, basically however much you invest into him is how much damage he reflects back. And that's insane. If the enemy hits you, they hit themselves. Beast King is very strong, especially for F2P. But there is a problem. If you level Beast King, and you level Amai, and you level Carnage, you have no more resources left. So you can't get the Deep Sea King strategy going. Now that is where I recommend that instead of going Deep Sea King, you can consider going for Corrode strat, so that you split your resources between Grapplers and Espers in a way where you can level both evenly. Now, let's go back to monster Grapplers for a moment. What does Carnage do? He does everything. He deals strong AoE damage with his Reflect. He has okay single target. He is one of the best tanks in the game. He's used in Institute because he can regen himself. He's used in Club Boss early game, Arena Tournament, and in Unnatural Disaster, he's probably one of the best units. He can't die. You just out, and then you regen back all the damage taken. Beast King, he is the second strongest single target SR damage dealer, but he shares a spot with Boros. Now, if you don't have Boros, then go ahead and level Beast King. You need him, because a lot of content in the game is gated by how much single target damage you deal. Let's say HXM, Hero X Monster. If you don't deal enough damage single target in HXM, you can't clear the stage. So that's where Beast King shines. Okay, now then we talk about Deep Sea King. Now, Deep Sea King is a very powerful PvP core. If you use him and commit to him, you will win PvP for a while. But there is a problem. If you level Deep Sea King, then where are your resources for everything else going into? I don't know. For all you know, you could just not level Deep Sea King and your PvP might still be fine. Because why? There are a few win conditions for PvP. 1, you're running a Corrode team. 2, you're running a Damage Reflect team. Or 3, you are higher level than the other person. Now, Deep Sea King loses to Corrode team in Monster Tournament. Now, you need to understand. Deep Sea King loses to Corrode team in Monster Tournament. So if you had to choose between running Corrode or Deep Sea King, you would choose Corrode. And some people tell me, but Deep Sea King has Energy Seal Core. There's a counter to that. It's called Mosquito Girl. If you run Mosquito Girl, you get +1 energy on top of 3 base energy. He deletes 2 energy, and you still have 2 energy left to cast your combo or Groribas out. And that nullifies the build entirely. So for me, I think that the biggest benefit to Deep Sea King is actually that he is worth investing in because he uses demon badges. I have 4 demon badges sitting in my inventory and there's nothing to use it on. Like, the only the only monster tank that uses it would be Deep Sea King. And that's a godsend because most other SSR monster units are using dragon badges. They're dragon level. But Deep Sea King is using demon level badges. So if you invest into Deep Sea King, you can have that going for you. My server whale has a 5-star insignia for Deep Sea King. But that's the extent which I would say he's worth the resources. There is a way to solve this problem. All you have to do is to choose 4 grapplers and you sacrifice your hero tank. You run Deep Sea King, Beast King, Carnage, and Amai. And then you can choose to run Deep Sea King and use your demon badges. That is up to you whether that's a good idea. Because I personally haven't really checked how badly gated you are if hero tanks don't exist. But I feel like monster tanks are worse. Much worse. Okay. Last but not least, monster high tech, there's only one. There's Fukegao as well, but I don't give a fuck about Fukegao. So you only have Dr. Genus. Level him. He's worth it. You don't need to put your resources into him that much. But he is one of the most used units in the game for his core alone. Okay? So get him to purple 50 and stop there. And that's good enough. Alternatively, for monster cores, you can use Mosquito Girl or Deep Sea King. But Genus is your go-to core. Easy to get his +4 energy every turn. He's used in Geryuganshoop and late game. He's used in a lot of the early game club bosses as well. And he's used in a lot of events where the bosses one-shot you. So definitely put some resources into Genus. Okay? In case you're wondering what his 3-star keepsake is, it's trash. Don't bother. It just increases the speed gain from 20% to 30%. Not much. Next, I just want to talk briefly about some spare units on the side. Mooman, Man's Aesthetician Man, Clone, etc. So what's Mooman used for? Mooman is your best unyielding tank. Okay, he's free. Okay, I am still running him in hero team because he does a few things that other units can't. For example, if Golden Boy outs and your Mooman is low level, the Atomic Samurai will come and swipe and slash Mooman. But he won't die, he will have unyielding on. So he's good to bait attacks away from your cores, your high damage dealers. He's also used in Club Boss because he has unyielding. He's also a great grappler slot because he doesn't use grappler badges from the SRs and the SSRs. Okay, now we have Clone and Man's Aesthetician Man. This guy is just a weaker Sonic. If you read his kit, he has a shatter on his normal attack. So he's basically Sonic but he's N tier. You should use him in certain situations like, for example, in Institute, if you want to shatter something for free. Clone, so unyielding, that's all I can say. Get him to 2 stars, you need him for Institute, and he will keep your team alive for you. Straightforward. Fukegao is just there to proc injury, because some HXM events need you to have an injury on a monster, and the only other injury on a monster is Fukegao. So you get him with high speed, first turn he just outs, and your Beast King can keep follow-up attacks afterwards. Mainly for HXM, nothing else. Ieron is there to proc your Atomic Samurai follow-ups. Again, that's about it. You can also use Stinger over here. Lightning Max has a guaranteed stun. So as long as the target is burnt, you can trigger burn if Sub King, you can trigger burn if Genos. His ult will always stun. That makes him have a niche role in Institute, for example. Hammerhead just stuns. You don't have to level any of these guys. I'm just letting you know what are their purposes in the game. Okay? So now I'll go on to some of my lineup recommendations for how do you do certain important things in the game. Club Boss, Groribas. Okay? You just need Genus. A main tank here can be Alloy, Carnage, Mosquito Girl, can even be tank top, but Groribas can pierce tank top's shield, of course, because of Corrode. Sonic for Shatter and to proc Atomic. If you have no Atomic, put another DPS like Borussia or something. I don't know. There's only so many. As long as you have Amai and Beast King, it's more or less fine. This is straightforward why you need Armor and Beast King here. They are your highest single target damage in the game for F2P, and they are easy to level. So that's why I keep saying, if you had to choose between leveling a hero tank or leveling a unit, just go for Armor, right? Okay. So this is very straightforward. I don't really want to talk much about Groribas. All you have to know is that he will keep hitting your unit here. When it dies, you want Genus to summon the clones here and hold off for a few more turns. Genus should also be healing your tank here if the tank survives longer than a few turns. Okay? Now, Geryuganshoop is even more straightforward. Okay? When you reach Geryu, you understand why this lineup makes sense. But for now, follow exactly what I write here, and your club will do well. Sonic goes first, and he has a suit. Okay? Because at turn 1, the boss is going to out and eat your energy, so you can't cast anything. But by having Genus core activated and having Sonic with a suit or casual with speed, he shatters the boss, and then he gets back 2 energy for your Amai to out. Or your Beast King to out if you don't use Amai for some reason. So again, at the end of the day, what you want to do with your lineups is up to you, but this is the ultimate proven lineup. Nothing comes close to this for club boss damage at Geryu. If you are not following what I write here, it's your loss. Movement shouldn't be outing. Okay? I may upload a video about the boss and how to kill him at some point. You will be doing Geryu for months. Even after we kill Geryuganshoop and summon the Boros ship event, the next club boss is Boros, and he one-shots everything. He one-shots 1, 2, 3, 4 units or something. So you will be farming Geryuganshoop for oranges, because every 50 hits on a club boss, you get 1 guaranteed orange gear. Okay? So now, moving on, there are 2 arena meta lineups. I'm going to run through them one by one. So meta lineup 1 for arena, damage reflect. You need Sky King, Carnage, and Deep Sea King. HP gear, HP gear. You can swap these 2 slots because there are people who are running Deep Sea King behind, as he can one-shot entire units with his out. Okay. If you have no King, Tatsu. If you have no Tatsu, Golden Ball. You have Sky King to get the Esper already, so it's pretty clear cut. These are all just area damage units. Same for Atomic, Golden Ball, Tatsu here. And you need a high tech. So the best high tech you can use is Chow Emperor, but Genus is an option as well. Okay? So this is the damage reflect lineup. It works well because Sky King, his passive boosts the damage reflect by Carnage and the damage reflect from DC King's core. And that means you deal a lot of damage back to the opponent. You can also run the Energy Seal core for Deep Sea King, but personally the damage reflect build with Carnage is strong. If you Energy Seal, you better pray that the opponent doesn't move faster than you with their C or something, right? This build is great for F2B. You don't need speed gear to make this work, and speed is everyone's worst nightmare. I hate speed. The whales love it because they can use it to get an advantage, but that's why damage reflect is so good. If the whales hit you, they take damage. So this is a very F2P friendly build, and it's also one of the top meta builds even in the whale, at the top 10 or top 20 of the whales fight, right? Now, next one, Corrode. Still Carnage. Carnage is always strong. He reflects damage. Kombu, Vaccine Man, and Groribas if you have. Because Corrode deals damage only if you have these 2 in the lineup, of course. Now, the options for the rest, I put King in because King is the strongest PvP unit right now, but you can also run Tatsu, Golden Ball. Heck, you can even run Mosquito Girl or Sky King. I don't give a shit. Heck, Mosquito Girl could even be in your damage reflect build. That's up to you. But the main thing is that you need these 2, Carnage, and if you want Sky King. And my call for Arena Corrode build is usually CE, but you can merge both builds. You can merge a Corrode build with a damage reflect build. It all works, right? So over here you see that there's Atomic as well. I always put Atomic as my baseline, but Golden Ball and Atomic they're just there. You do whatever you want with them. You can run Tatsu as well, but you need one Duelist, and if I had one Duelist to choose, it will be either Golden Ball or Atomic. Next, I'm going to quickly run through how do you create lineups in Institute. There are a few major builds. Okay, 1, 3 Unyielding and 3 DPS Corrode. You can also replace Sky King with Atomic, Golden Ball, or whatever, or Beast King. Now, why this works is that you must kill the front line in the first turn. Let's say there are 6 units on the opponent team. They trigger Unyielding on Clone, they trigger Unyielding on Blackluster, they trigger Unyielding on Movement, and that's it. Because first turn you've cleared out the front line with these 3 units, Vaccine Man and Combo. Now, for a more mainstream type lineup, so for example you have 6. Okay, so how I recommend people play Institute is that they kill the opponent units as fast as they can. So either you use something like Vaccine Man Combo, or you run 6 AoE damage dealers: Atomic, Golden Ball, Beast King, Tatsumaki, Chow Emperor. You can remove Carnage and replace with yet another DPS if you have one like King. Okay, so 6 DPS allows you to kill off the front row at the very least, and that's where all your damage output happens. Okay, there are a couple of lineups you should be aware of. The Lightning Max combo to perma stun when there's only 1 unit left, and if you need single target damage, you can always run Sonic, Amai, Mansatiation Man, and Boros. So if you're in floor 5 and floor 6, you can actually progress by using sacrifice suit teams. What I mean by this is that you take your level 1 units, you put suit sets on them, you go into the stage, the opponent deals damage to you and hits themselves, and then your units are dead. So you go back to your lineup, you unequip the suit sets and put it on another 6 level 1 units. You rinse and repeat until they are all low HP for your main lineup to kill, or they are all dead. Now, for energy seal floors, you cannot do this, but if you are not in an energy seal floor, you can actually run a single unit. You throw in a single level 1 unit and let it die, and your energy actually goes up. So if in Institute, a lot of people think, okay, I run out of energy because I don't have my core. Now if you look at this example on the left, where's my core? I don't have a core here, because you should always have 12 energy before entering a stage if you are playing it correctly. The exception being the energy seal floor, but I'm way past that, so that's not a concern for me anymore. Okay? In the energy seal floor, your only option is to hope that you have CE and that you control your energy use as much as possible. Okay, the final topic I want to talk about today are black ticket units and what is the order of priority. So this is, take it with a pinch of salt. I do not make tier lists. I'm just letting you know what I feel has the most value at any point in time. Okay, so in terms of expected importance, meaning that what do they do for you and your gameplay? Why is Zombie Man at the front, for example? Zombie Man revives himself every other turn, and that's sick. It means that in the Geryuganshoop club boss, for example, you can go on to turn 10 without any of your backline units dying, because he just revives. Garo, he is the first major power creep unit of that time. So when Garo comes out, you will find that everyone who has drawn Garo is going to rape you upside down because he deals so much damage. Goketsu, same thing. His out hits for 180% damage flat, and his passive increases the potency of shields as well as heals. Giro is a new core after Zombie Man. Zombie Man is also a core that causes your team to heal up to full HP for 2 turns. Now, don't ask me why that is even remotely fair, but basically if your units drop below 30% health, they go to full HP. And that's her core effect. Which means that once she is out, in PvP, everything will just be about whether you deal enough burst damage. And that's where Boros becomes relevant once more. Once Gyro comes out, the only thing that can finish off an enemy unit is Boros, or a lot of damage. Phoenix Man is here because normally you have a tank unit that doesn't deal damage, but Phoenix Man revives and hits the backline. So what he does is that you can put full attack gear on him and have him deal a ton of damage to the backline, meaning you can no longer hide units with max attack and no HP in the backline. But he himself is also a tank because he revives, he takes a hit. So that makes him very useful. Silver Fang, he's the one that's coming out very soon, that's the first real useful unit. Is actually one of the best tank units for team. So he causes your team to increase block rate by 30% for 2 turns, and every time someone blocks they get a shield. Now if that doesn't sound OP, I don't know what is, but the reason he is behind these units is that immediately after he comes out, a lot of these units come out, and the damage output can still threaten or at least break through his shields. Nevertheless, he's strong. I will place him as my first major draw in the coming months if I skip Meta Knight and Meta Bat. Okay, Boros, he is strong in other instances like Institute, Club Boss. When his keepsake comes out, he becomes even stronger. Okay, stronger single target damage in the game, hands down, nothing comes close. Now Flashy Flash is all the way down here, even though he comes out quite late. That's because he's hard to build. You need a lot of speed gear on him. His entire mechanic is that he deals a lot of damage if he's faster than everyone else. Now if you're going to chalk it down to a speed war between you and the whales will always win. Don't even try fighting them. You can spend a few $1,000 and you will still never catch up to your server's whale. Just because, well, they have the money to buy Star Ascension cards and you don't. Now we have King. King, the banner is over. There's not much you can do about it now. But at this point in time, he is a strong unit. Now, fast forward 4 to 5 months, when all these guys start coming out, and you'll see him get used less and less. Especially because it's much easier to get energy later on. As your units level up, they generate more energy, and energy seal becomes less useful. On top of that, his damage output is capped by energy output. So if you use King, that's great. You will win PvP for the next 4 months. But in the late game, you will start wanting sheer damage units like this, and they outclass King by quite a fair bit. I used to think Meta Knight sounded great, 30% bonus attack to your whole team, stuff like that. But recently I've been thinking that, okay, he doesn't have much room to be used. Immediately after he comes out, Silver Fang comes out. That means that his AoE damage will be blocked by shields. His injure will fall off. He's basically same as Tatsu on that. And he doesn't scale as well as Tatsu in terms of damage because he doesn't have crit damage scaling. He only has plus 30% attack damage for the team. So draw him if you want a high tech 6 target hitter, but otherwise not that important. Okay, next, Metal Bat. He is so cool in anime, but in the game he is a mediocre tank-like unit. So what his mechanics are, I'll let you read up on him elsewhere, but he's not that strong, honestly. You don't see any use of him in CN Taiwan videos because he's not that strong. Not much I can say other than that. So if you were to look for a unit, if you are into it purely for competitiveness, you can skip him. He's probably the next banner. I know I said the same thing about King, but King has his purposes because the hero side is lacking in so much. It's either you have Tatsu or you're dead, right? Okay, and that more or less covers my content and what I'm trying to explain today. So you go back inside the game, and I want to do end of the video with something fun, of course. So I've saved up my fireworks. I wanted to save up more, but what I'm going to do is that the event only has 2 days left, and that means that it's time to draw. Let's pray that we get this. After I get this, I'm actually going to stop farming this event because it's been setting back my talent for a while. That's not good. Hopefully I get this to make up for it, and then we can move on. Okay, let's go. No luck so far. Somehow that was the research chip chest, which I don't need. It's the research chip chest again. Wait, did I get it? Yeah, it's not so good. Still no luck. I got this. Okay. 600 left. I still need the orange. Still no luck. Liking the coin back though. Hope I get more coin backs. 300 left. I don't know whether clicking this is the better option. I hope that it is. Oh no, we have one more draw left. I got this. Okay, it seems okay so far, but of course we need that middle one. That's the one I've been farming this whole time. So we have 3 days worth of farming left. I've not done my event for today, but that's all for today then. Thanks for watching. I hope the guide was useful. See ya.